Welcome to History Delights. This is an audio recording of the written history of the Iowa 32nd Volunteer Infantry Regiment. This history was compiled by members of the regiment and recorded and published in 1896. Please enjoy this recording and all of the other episodes of this continuing saga. Chapter 5: A Lively Foot Race, Finding a Soft Spot in the Life of the Soldier. By the first peep of the day, the detachment was in line moving by the Cape Girardeau Road. We met the train and mail some 20 miles from Bloomfield. They halted, delivered us our mail, then turned back for the Cape. The detachment continued the march on the Cape Girardeau Road, camping the first night on the ground on which we camped when we first going to Bloomfield. On the second day, we turned for Dallas and were soon meandering among the swamps and sunken lands. Striking the head of Wool Swamp, at first the mud and slush came over Shoe Top, but soon we were into our knees and even waist deep in the filthy water and slush. Sometimes an old log would come in our line along which you could see the boys crawl turtle-like, but at the end of the log down again the boys must go wading and plunging as we would sing out, "No bottom, no bottom." These sunken lands and swamps are said to be the result of the earthquake of 1812, when the town of New Madrid was sunk and destroyed, and they run through some 4 or 5 counties of southeast Missouri, and the country being so heavily timbered, the swamps made grand hiding places for guerrilla bands, hence the name Swamp Angels. After getting through the swamp, we came to a nice farm belonging to an old rebel named Snyder. But where were our teams? Back in the swamps. 6 mule teams down in the mud and slush to their backs. The boys declared that they could see Tom Paine's lead mules wallowing through the mire and see the tips of their ears above the water. Our detachment train came through, but General McNeill's team and troops were swamp-bound. But the general, riding into Snyder's yard, presented his revolver at old man Snyder's head, and then turning to his wagon master said, "Take that man with you, and if he doesn't bring the train through by a better road, shoot him down and leave him on his tracks." They came through by a better road. In the meantime, we were resting at Snyder's house and enjoying our dinner on Snyder's honey and hardtack. But our officers appeared to have no sweet tooth in their heads, or they were afraid of old Snyder's honey. The evening of the 22nd, we were at Dallas, having made some 60 miles by our meandering route in 2 days. The latter part of last day's march was over rough, hilly country. Here we had marching orders for the Cape at 4 o'clock next morning, and by 4 we were in line. But as soon as we were rear guard, the sun was ascending the heavens before we were fairly in motion. Then we had orders to move with all possible speed and be ready for an attack at any moment from the rear or either flank. Squads of men could be seen hovering above our rear and flanks. The road was hilly and in places rough and stony, yet the distance to Jackson, 22 miles, was made in a little less than 6 hours. The afternoon of the day we left Bloomfield, it was occupied by rebel troops concentrating there from Pine Bluffs, Des Arc, and other points in Arkansas. Marmaduke and Shelby had gone west of us, striking through the west part of Wayne County, taking the little town of Patterson, and was making a dash thence into Fredericktown, while Carter had concentrated his force, a brigade of Texas cavalry, on the Mississippi River below Cape Girardeau. Marmaduke's scouts claimed to have captured dispatches showing that General McNeill was ordered to move to Pilot Knob, and hence, when we reached Dallas, then the county seat of Bollinger County, and now Marble Hill, Marmaduke and Shelby were between us and our destined point, if that was our intended move on the warring chessboard. And when we marched for the Cape, the force of Marmaduke and Shelby were moving in behind us, while Burbridge and Colton Green were moving for the Cape by the Bloomfield Road, aiming to combine with Carter and unite all their forces to take the Cape, which, before our reaching it, was garrisoned by only the 1st Nebraska and some artillery. Upon reaching Jackson, we rested until the afternoon of the 24th, then marched leisurely into Cape Girardeau. About 10 o'clock Saturday night, under a flag of truce, a demand for unconditional surrender of the place with all its forts, troops, arms, and army stores in 30 minutes was sent to General McNeill. The demand purported to be signed by General Sterling Price. Price was then at Pigeon Hill, Arkansas. General McNeill replied that he would only ask 1 minute to refuse the demand, and begged General Price to give him credit for the other 29 minutes.